Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking you sort of inside a board meeting. We're looking at Edisphere Global.
Right, a really successful UK ed tech. They're known for these co-created, globally recognized programs.
And they've done great in places like Southeast Asia, Africa, the Middle East. But that growth is starting to plateau. It's hitting a wall.
So the leadership is asking this massive question.
Yeah, huge one.
Yeah.
Is the entire future of this company now dependent on conquering India, the world's most populous and, let's be honest, most complex education market?
Well, structurally, the answer is probably yes. I mean, India is the ultimate prize. You have this vast youth demographic, and critically, a government that's all in on radical reform with its national education policy, the NEP 2020. It's a generational opportunity for a foreign player.
But, the word complex doesn't even begin to cover it. The Indian market is just famous for its red tape. It's a regulatory hurdle.
Free price sensitivity, yeah.
Exactly. And it's so fragmented. Demand can change completely from one state to the next, even from city to city.
It is the highest risk, highest reward scenario you can imagine. You're trying to plug a global product into a system that is, well, both incredibly rigid and also going through this massive transformation all at once.
So our mission today is to basically act as your strategic advisors.
Yeah.
We're going to decode the primary research that Edisphere commissioned.
Yeah, from their consultant, Ronak Maheshwari. And we're going to look at 3 critical layers that really determine success or failure.
Right. First, the on-the-ground stuff, the qualitative insights. Then the huge macro blueprint, the NEP 2020 and India's AI roadmap.
And finally, the part that really matters, the cold, hard data. What will students actually pay for, and what do they really value?
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the strategic problem laid out in London and the market need that Edisphere is trying to meet.
Well, Edisphere's whole model has always been rooted in these specialized blended programs. They focus on skills that get people jobs.
Things like business analytics, digital marketing.
Exactly. Green economy skills. They're not selling degrees, really. They're selling a pathway to a better job. And their secret sauce is co-creation, working with local schools to make it relevant.
But, like we said, by 2025, those markets they're in now, they're just getting saturated.
And that's where this mind-boggling statistic comes in. It's from Laura Chen, their head of strategy.
This one is it's hard to get your head around. In the next 5 years, India is projected to add more college students than the entire population of Australia.
The entire population. That's the scale we're dealing with. But here's the problem they want to solve.
70% of those graduates leave the system without industry-ready skills.
Right. That skills gap, that 70%, that is the chasm that Edisphere is eyeing.
So that number is the why. It's the justification for going in. But the challenge is the how.
Exactly. The core question is, should we enter? And if we do, how? So they commissioned research to answer the tactical questions. Who do we partner with?
Private universities, autonomous colleges, maybe even local ed techs.
Right. And what do we offer? Short certificates, full programs. And what's the model? Do we just license content, or do we do joint programs, co-branding?
And they had some ideas. They weren't just guessing. They put forward 3 pilot products to test the waters.
A Global Employability Certificate, or GEC, a course in sustainability leadership, and data skills for non-tech graduates. So they had the product.
They just needed to know if the market would actually accept it.
And this is where Ronak Maheshwari's field research introduced this really crucial concept, context sensitivity.
Tell us more about that. What does that actually look like in India's higher education system?
Well, it's not just about translating the language. It's about understanding the structure. You have to navigate this multi-layered governance.
You mean bodies like the UGC and the AICTE?
Exactly. The University Grants Commission, the All India Council for Technical Education, they regulate everything. And Raunak realized very quickly that decisions aren't just about policy. They often hinge on relationships, on trust within the system.
So policy is the gate, but trust is the key.
Precisely. For example, you might find a great private university to partner with. But if Edisphere wants to offer a joint certification, that might still need a sign-off from the state or even the central government.
Okay, so it's not straightforward.
Not at all. The whole structure is inherently cautious about foreign players.
And you can really see that caution in the qualitative insights Raunak gathered. The conversations he had with stakeholders show these real conflicts.
Like the vice chancellor in Maharashtra. He's keen on global partnerships, he's aspirational.
But he warns that he's completely constrained by regulatory limits.
That tells Edosphere that their number one barrier isn't their content quality, it's policy uncertainty.
But then you move from the administrative office to, say, the academic office, and the concerns shift completely.
Right. The dean in Karnataka is focused entirely on employability, on jobs, and he gives this serious warning. No global model will ever survive without genuine faculty buy-in.
That's fascinating. So you can't just drop in a product from London. You have to win over the people who are actually going to teach it. Internal alignment first.
Absolutely. And then you go to an edtech founder in Delhi, someone on the ground innovating, and the message is even sharper. He says, the moment content stops feeling Indian, you lose users.
A direct warning.
Yeah.
Don't just dump your global content here and expect it to work.
They want the prestige of a global certificate, but not the burden of irrelevant foreign case studies.
It's kind of tragically underlined by that faculty member in West Bengal. Yeah. He said students like the videos, not the context.
Exactly. They're drawn to the brand, to the shine, but they struggle to apply the examples to their own economic reality.
So Ronak Maheshwari boils all of this down. He synthesizes these competing voices
into the defining conflict of the market. Everyone wants global, but on their own terms. This tension, aspirations for global excellence colliding with local constraints, that is the dynamic Edosphere has to figure out.
It's a brilliant synthesis. And it leads us right into the first major enabler. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Because while all this is happening on the ground,
the entire market is being rebuilt from the top down. Let's shift to that macro transformation, the National Education Policy, NEP 2020.
The NEP, which was approved in July 2020, isn't just a small change. I mean, this is a complete overhaul. The vision is to shift the Indian system toward being more flexible, learner-centric, multidisciplinary.
And they have a massive goal, a gross enrollment ratio, or GER, of 50% by 2035.
To hit that, they need scale, they need flexibility, and they need global help.
Which is exactly why Edosphere's blended model is such a good fit. The NEP introduces these specific policies that directly support what they offer.
Take the concept of multiple entry and exit options. MEME.
MEME. It's revolutionary, right? It means a student doesn't have to do a 4-year degree all at once.
They can exit after 1 year with a certificate, 2 years with a diploma, and then come back later. This kind of flexibility is perfect for module-based learning like Edosphere's pilot certificate.
And crucially, all of that is tracked by the Academic Bank of Credit, the ABC.
The ABC is like a student's intellectual checking account. It's a digital ledger that tracks their credits and lets them transfer them between schools.
And for Edosphere, the key thing here is that up to 40% of those credits can come from online platforms.
Right, including the government's own Swayam platform. So this institutionalizes high-quality online learning. It validates it.
So suddenly, Edosphere isn't just offering some random certificate. They're offering credits that can actually be banked and count towards a formal degree. That's huge for credibility.
It standardizes the whole system, and it's supported by things like the National Credit Framework and the National Higher Education Qualification Framework.
So these frameworks are what help create national and international equivalence, the kind of thing that's been a hurdle for foreign players for decades.
Exactly. It paves the way for the most critical opening for Edosphere, internationalization.
The policy is actively looking for global partners.
Yeah, the UGC regulations from May 2022 specifically allow Indian institutions to partner with foreign ones to offer twinning, joint degree, and dual degree programs.
Okay, let's pause there because the difference between those three is actually huge for a business model like Edosphere's. Can you break that down?
Sure. A twinning program is where students study a bit in India, a bit abroad, and get 1 degree from the foreign university.
Okay.
A joint degree means both schools collaborate on the curriculum, and they award 1 combined degree. But the dual degree, that's the gold standard.
That's where you get 2 separate degrees, 1 from each partner.
Exactly. And that's the most appealing for Indian students who want maximum recognition for their investment.
And we are already seeing this happen. Over 100 Indian universities are offering these collaborative programs.
And foreign universities are physically setting up campuses. You have Australia's Deakin and Wollongong, the UK's University of Southampton, often in these special economic zones like Gift City.
At the same time, India's own top schools are going global. IIT Madras is in Zanzibar, IIT Delhi is in Abu Dhabi.
The message is clear. The system is integrating, it's moving, and it's serious about global quality.
And just to close the loop on this, The government is also making sure students can actually afford this. Schemes like Vidya Lakshmi offer collateral-free loans up to 7.5 lakh rupees.
So all this policy framework is creating the space that Edosphere needs. But we have to remember why this is all happening with such urgency.
Which brings us to the second massive pressure point.
The looming threat of AI disruption.
Exactly. This isn't just about gradual reform, it's about economic survival. The NEI-AYOG roadmap presents a very stark choice for India's huge IT and customer experience sectors. We're talking about more than 9.5 million jobs.
And that choice is laid out in two scenarios, headwind versus tailwind.
The headwind scenario is, well, it's pretty grim. It's what happens with non-action. The tech workforce could shrink to 6 million by 2031.
And the CX headcount to just 1.8 million, it would be catastrophic.
But the tailwind scenario, which is what happens with strategic immediate action, that shows the tech workforce growing to 10 million.
And CX growing to 3.1 million. The difference between those two outcomes is almost 5 million jobs.
So when Edosphere comes in, they're not just selling a course, they're offering a direct intervention in a national employment crisis. That gives them huge strategic weight.
Let's look at the mechanics of this disruption using the workforce framework.
Okay.
In terms of the work, AI's impact isn't uniform, but it's big. For a typical software development lifecycle, you're seeing productivity gains of 10 to 20%.
But for simple, straightforward tasks,
Like building a basic dashboard or running routine checks, those gains can jump to 50 or even 60%.
which immediately changes the role of the worker. It targets those entry-level roles that have been the engine of India's employment for years.
Exactly. The L1 support agent doing basic ticket triage, the junior QA engineer running the same regression tests over and over, their core skills are now highly automatable. They're facing redundancy.
And that redundancy creates the talent crisis, but also the massive opportunity.
Right. The tailwind. AI doesn't just cut jobs. It creates entirely new, highly specialized roles that need completely different skills.
What kind of new roles are we talking about?
You can group them. There are enterprise AI skills like prompt engineers or ethical AI specialists, people who manage the AI systems.
Then you have the really advanced stuff.
The frontier AI skills, quantum machine learning engineers, neurohaptic engineers. And finally, you have the AI for AI people, the elite researchers building the next generation of large language models.
That is a huge shift in the skills needed. The current workforce is optimized for tasks that are being automated, and the future workforce needs creativity and advanced math.
Which brings us to the crisis that demands the India AI talent mission. It's a crisis in two parts. First, supply.
They just can't train people fast enough.
Right. Current AI talent supply only meets about 50% of the demand. And that gap is widening. Demand is growing at 25% a year, but talent is only growing at 15%.
And the second part of the crisis.
They're losing their top people. India has a net negative AI talent migration rate. Nearly 44% of top Indian AI researchers are working abroad right now.
Wow, so the talent mission has to be both internal and external. It has to upskill the millions of people already in the workforce and act as a magnet to lure back those top researchers with grants and visas.
It's a battle for the future workforce, and it creates this perfect storm for Edosphere. Massive systemic enabling from the NEP, combined with urgent existential demand from AI disruption.
So now let's get down to the final and maybe the most practical constraint, the consumer reality.
This is where the aspirational meets the affordable.
We have the quantitative data from Ronak's student survey. It covered 125 respondents in major cities, studying everything from engineering to arts.
And student motivation is it's completely pragmatic. When you ask them why they want a global certification, the answers are overwhelmingly clear.
Better job and higher salary prospect and global recognition.
The primary driver is simply to get my first job or to increase my salary. There is zero appetite for learning just for the sake of learning. It's a career investment, plain and simple.
And that pragmatism defines what they're actually willing to pay for. When they were asked what would justify an investment of around, say, 35,000 rupees.
They rated job placement assistance and a guaranteed internship as critical. If Edosphere can't promise a tangible outcome, they can't command a premium price.
And their concerns are the same ones we heard from the faculty and the founders.
Recognition by Indian employers and lack of local context in the curriculum, the loop closes. If the content is too foreign or local industry doesn't value the certificate, the investment is a waste.
Now for the financial kicker. This has to be the hardest part for any foreign company that's used to global pricing.
It's extremely sobering. When students were asked their maximum willingness to invest in a 6-month program, very few were willing to pay above 25,000 rupees.
In the mass market, where Edisphere needs to be to get scale, clusters heavily in the below 10,000 rupees or the 10 to 25,000 rupee brackets.
So we're talking about a maximum price point of between, 120 to 300 US dollars for a major program.
Why is that price sensitivity so extreme when the need for skills is so high?
It goes back to that 70% figure we started with. Students are used to spending a lot of time and money on degrees that don't lead to jobs. They are incredibly risk-averse.
They see a new course, even a global one, as another potential black hole for their parents' savings.
Exactly. They need that value guarantee, the internship, the job placement, before they'll commit a large sum.
And that price tolerance is low even for shorter 3-month programs. Again, the sweet spot is below 10 or 12,000 rupees. It establishes a non-negotiable price anchor for Edisphere.
They also demand flexibility. The vast majority said that a program allowing them to learn while working or studying was absolutely essential or strongly preferred.
It's a market that demands asynchronous learning, which is reflected in their format preferences.
A split between fully online, self-paced, and hybrid models. And for engagement, the most important things were recorded lectures, accessible anytime, and hands-on projects.
Practical, available, and self-managed learning.
So when you combine the price sensitivity, the demand for job outcomes, and the need for local content, the strategy for Edisphere becomes incredibly narrow.
They have to hit that $120 to $300 price point. They have to provide internships, and they have to make sure their content isn't seen as irrelevant.
Or they risk being labeled as one MBA student, in the case put it, as just Instagram learning.
That phrase just captures the entire conflict perfectly. It's shiny, it looks good, but is there any substance in the local context?
So what does this all mean? The deeper learning here is that India's higher ed market is being shaped by two massive converging forces.
You have the government-driven overhaul through NEP 2020, which is opening the doors.
And you have the existential pressure from AI disruption, which provides the urgency.
And success for Edisphere, or any global player, depends entirely on balancing the aspirations of institutions against the very pragmatic, price-sensitive demands of a student who just needs a job right now.
The recommended path is surgical. They have to pilot flexible, context-sensitive content, prioritize deep faculty training to get that critical buy-in,